Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web-based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida and New York before sharing information worldwide. So, 10 years later, here we are again. Um, la- I remember the feeling, the experience, the being there on December 12th, I believe it was 2012, or maybe it was the 14th, when I sat down and recorded a video talking about the Sandy Hook incident. I don't the Sandy Hook massacre. I'm not going to call it an incident because this was a horrible thing. And at that time, it felt like this was one of the most awful things that could happen. And we all believed and were, we all felt that, hey, if nothing else made a difference, this would have been it. And sadly, it wasn't. We were at several other locations, and today we are back at an elementary school. They all hurt. They all should have never happened. But there is something about something like that happening at an elementary school where you're looking at 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and pretty much little. Anyways, last time, and just like I did last time, today I wanted to just talk about a couple things that we can do to help children process this, because when these events and when these tragedies occur that involve children, it doesn't matter how much you think that, hey, I don't do the news at home, I don't watch my family doesn't watch the news. We do. Children still end up hearing. You may think that your child is not paying attention or your child doesn't know, but they do. Your child hears things, your child sees things, your child hears conversations that you're having with other people, your child hears, they know. And so because they know, it's important to take the time to address these issues with them. So today I wanted to just go over a couple things, just a couple little reminders. And today I actually managed to not delete my notes. Yay me. Um, so, okay, if I could, I didn't delete them, but I'm having trouble pulling them up. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that you are reassuring children. Children need that reassurance. I often describe these events as a break in normal. The way it works is, it's like normal is a circle. A circle every day you're going home. Every day you get up, you get up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, get dressed, go to school, and like normal is a circle that happens every day, and we go through the same little cycle, and that's normal. So when something like this happens, it's like you break normal. When the magician has that sphere, and then I don't know how it works, but somehow there's a little break in the sphere. That's what happened today. There was a break in the sphere. There was a break in normal. So what we need to make sure that we're doing is that we are providing reassurance. We are reminding children that, hey, even though this really awful thing happened, there's normal is still here. Life is still here. These things that you enjoyed, pretty much your life still exists. You'll still have access to all the stuff that you had access to. You can still have those same experiences. You can still have life. So do whatever you need to do to provide that reassurance. And one thing I said this last time, and I will say it again: hold your kids close, hug them, kiss them, tell them you love them, tell them that you're happy that they're here. Provide that reassurance that even in this world of chaos, they are still in good hands, that things are still going to be okay. Because the idea that something like this could happen in a school, especially in an elementary school, is going to be scary. It's scary when it happens to like in a high school or something like that. But sometimes A high schooler may have better understanding, may have more resources to process something like this. But a 6-year-old does not. A 6-year-old, when a 6-year-old hears, hey, this happened at this school, the thing is, the question is, wait, is this going to happen at my school? Is the bad man going to come to my school? What am I going to do when the bad man comes to my school? So making sure that you're providing them that reassurance and giving them the space to be, giving them the space to just experience and kind of just be where they are. The second thing is to talk to them. It's the hardest thing and it's the most uncomfortable thing to do because as adults, we don't get this. As adults, this makes absolutely no sense. As adults, we we don't have words. As adults, this makes absolutely no sense to us. So imagine that something that you don't get, that you can't explain, that you can't get your head around, wrap your head around it. But now you're having to explain that to a 6-year-old, to a 7-year-old who's asking, why did the bad man do this to these other children? Why did the bad man come to the school? Is the bad man going to come to my school? It's hard, it's frustrating, it's infuriating. As an adult, we should be angry that we're having to have these conversations with children because children should never under there's no one thing that's been really pissing me off today is seeing people write RIP. Children should not be resting in peace. That's not their job. They're children. Their job is not to rest in peace. They don't need, that's not something that should ever be said. But we've been saying it and it's been pissing me off all day. So I had to say that. But the thing about it is it happened and children are scared. Children need us to remind them that they are safe. Part of that is listening to them. Part of that is talking to them and figuring out what they know. When I say talk to children, I don't mean go and say, hey, this happened and that happened. I mean, figure out what your child knows or start a conversation with your child to find out what they know and help them process what is happening, help them process where they are, help them process the situation. It doesn't mean that they're going to have it doesn't mean that you're going to have all the answers. And sometimes it's going to have to be an honest mom or dad saying, honey, I don't know. Sometimes it's that reminding them that, hey, even though this bad thing happened, we're still here for you. Listen to them. Let them tell you how they feel and help them process that feeling. Let them tell you what is going on with them, where they are, where they are where they are emotionally, where they are, what they want to know, whatever questions they have, let them ask. And as much as you can within their level of what do you call it? Within their level of understanding, within what is appropriate for your child, answer their questions. But don't think that just because you did not bring it up, your child doesn't know. I know school in Uvalde is out for the rest of the year, but a lot of places are still in school. A lot of children are going to be going to camps and other places where they are interacting with other children. So even though you may not have discussed it, you may not be bringing it up in your household, your child still may know. So it's important that you give them or create the opportunity for them to discuss with you whatever they may have going on, whatever they may want to discuss with you. Other part, children experience emotions, but not necessarily in the same ways that we do. As adults, many of us are angry, we're furious, we're, I don't know, all the emotions I'm thinking of right now center around anger. But there's fear that children will likely experience. There's going to be a great deal of anxiety that's presenting over the coming weeks and maybe much longer after. But children don't have the vocabulary to say, Mommy, I'm feeling anxious today. That's not in their, they don't have it. They don't have that kind of vocabulary. So it often, a lot of emotions show up differently in children. One thing that I talked about 10 years ago, which should have been the last time I talked about this, was that sometimes there may be a little bit of separation anxiety. There may be a little bit of extra clinginess. Pay attention to your children's behaviors, because behaviors tell you a lot more about what they're feeling than their words might. They may not be able to say, "Mommy, I'm sad, Mommy, I'm scared," but their behaviors may show you that, you know what, this child is experiencing a little bit of fear, this child is experiencing a little bit of anxiety, so that you can take the time and deal and address that. Because if you don't, it has to be addressed. There's no if you don't. You have to address it, because the children need you. They need their parents. They need the adults. They need the grown-ups in their lives to step up and and do this for them. They need that space. They need a safe space to be and experience what they are experiencing right now. So making sure that you're paying attention to behaviors, especially for that age group, the separation anxiety, maybe not wanting to. Yes, there are times when children don't want to go to places because they have other things they would rather do, but not wanting to go to places that they normally would want to go to. It's not, a lot of times when we think of adult depression as, hey, someone being completely disinterested, with a child, that could happen as well. And that, or your child who you finally got to sleep in their own bed, now every day has 3 million reasons why they need to start sleeping in your room. Those are little things that can change with a child after having experienced this trauma. A child who who you thought was fully potty trained, who's now having accidents, or a child who maybe start having incidents at night. These little behaviors, extra agitated, it doesn't mean that this lovely child that you have, it is suddenly in all these like it sometimes it means that the child is processing, the child is going through something and they don't have the words to say it. So this is what's happening. Since they don't know how to say, hey, I'm struggling, then you're seeing the struggle in their what do you call it? You're seeing the struggle in their behavior. So make sure you take the time to be there and let them be let them, what's the word I could use? Be there for them and let them and help them process whatever it is that they're experiencing. I don't know what's happening here. It looks like I don't see my mic. Let me see if this is working. Hold on, I gotta check on my computer. Not my computer, but my phone. Okay, can I hear me? Okay, so I sound good. Okay, the mic, it looked, okay, I need to turn this down. Okay, yeah, the mic looked like it wasn't moving, so I had to kind of check just to make sure that I was actually recording and that there was sound, because I've done that before. Where was I? Gotta get back to the notes. Okay, so yeah, the separation anxieties, a little extra edginess, a little extra anger. And sometimes if I'm extra clingy and you're not responding, now I'm gonna throw a fit. Or illnesses, children, and it's not necessarily that they're faking it. It's just as our adult bodies can respond to trauma, their little children bodies can also respond to trauma. So it's not unlikely that your child will suddenly, every time they have to go to school or every time they have to go somewhere that they're going to be away from their parents, that they start having a little tummy ache, a little this, a little that. Pay attention to these little things, because they may be signs that something is happening, that child is struggling. So pay attention to them, and when you see them, definitely make sure you get that child help. Be patient, especially if you've gone through the whole process of getting your child ready and doing all these things with your children, and you get to that point where they're regressing. Be patient. Be patient, because their little bodies are handling a lot. Their little brains are attempting to process things that 5 and 6 and 7-year-old brains were not intended to ever have to process. So be patient, be there, listen to them, give them the opportunity um, to go to grieve, give them the opportunity to go through this process and come out and move forward. It's not gonna be, and just as with adult grief and adult trauma, there is no timeline. Some children will hear about it and not make the connection and just be fine, and some children will make such a strong connection that they may have great struggles with it, and different children respond differently. So just make sure that you're taking the time to just allow your child, allow the children in your life to just be where they are. If you see a little bit of regression, you can definitely encourage and help them get back to where they used to be, get back to their normal. But be patient, because you notice that whatever that regression is, whatever that situation is in response to a traumatic event that we as a society are experiencing. And if adults are feeling this trauma the way we adults are feeling this trauma, there's no telling what children are feeling. So be patient with them. Other thing to do is try to do your best to bring back normalcy. Remember at the beginning, I said when these things happen, it's like there is a break in normal. Usually, imagine there's a ring where the ring was perfectly nice and smooth and low shiny ring, right? And then something happened and breaks the ring. Now there's a break. In order to get the ring back to where it needs to be, we need to get normal to keep happening and happening and happening again until we fill in to the point where we don't feel or we don't see that break anymore. So as much as you can, bring back normalcy. You're not going to push the child. You're not going to force that child to do and be and do all these extra stuff that they're not ready for. But you can encourage them. You can create the opportunities and create those situations where normalcy comes back into their lives, because they need you to reintroduce normal. They need you to get normal back into their lives so that they are able to move forward from this incident. So this means that if you have things that you do with your children at night, like if you have a bedtime routine, definitely keep that bedtime routine. If you normally do dinner or a specific special dinner, do that. Do as many normal things as you possibly can, because when you doing normal things is what helps them start processing and moving forward and realize that even though this really bad thing happened right here, the rest of life is still here. So whatever activities that you usually do, whatever activities that your family has, make sure that you're still doing these things, because they are important in rebuilding that normal and bringing normal back. And give them an opportunity to be children. Right now it's hard, it's frustrating. Just as adults, I often talk about the importance of letting loose and engaging in life affirming activities. Definitely make sure that your children are getting an opportunity to do that. Hey, if there's a pool, yes, take them to the pool. Take them to the pool extra today, or not right now, but you know what I mean. Take them to the pool extra. Give them a few extra minutes at the park. Give them a little bit of extra break, an extra opportunity to be children and just kind of let it out. Because that tension, even if they're not able to sit there and say, hey, mommy, this is what's happening. Daddy, this is how I'm feeling. Giving them an opportunity to at least run it off, burn that energy in at the park, burn that energy in the swimming pool, or wherever they're gonna go. So make sure you give them an opportunity to do these little things. I talked about the importance of providing reassurance. It's one thing that when things happen, you go to your child and say, hey, I'm gonna be there. Mommy's gonna make sure you're safe. Mommy's gonna do this, daddy's gonna do that, this, that, and the other. And you talk all those safety things. And then that child hears you talking to your spouse, or hears you talking on the phone to your friend and saying how bad things are, and Be mindful of your words because little ears are listening. When you tell them, hey, this is, you're safe, your actions and your words need to reassure, to reinforce your statement of you're safe. When you tell that child, yes, mommy's gonna do whatever, daddy's going to, this is what the school is doing to make sure that children at your school are safe, because sometimes they do know what happened, and they may ask questions. When your child says, hey, what happens if the bad man comes to my school? It's a hard question to hear. It's a hard question to answer. But being able to tell your child that, hey, yes, these are the things that the school, that they do at the school to make sure that little boys and girls are safe at the school. This is what mommy does to ensure that um you're going to be safe. These are the things that these are the ways that daddy is making sure that you're safe. Give them as many examples as you can give them. One question actually, children have asked this before. Well, what should I do when the bad man comes to my school? It's heartbreaking to hear that your child is thinking about this, but reminding them, hey, yes, the teacher's gonna be there. Follow the instructions. Mommy's gonna be outside. Daddy's gonna be waiting for you. Just making sure, provide that reassurance and encourage them. Hey, just there are things in place to protect you. That's what children need to know. Children need to know that there are things in place to make sure that they are safe. There are systems in place to ensure their safety. No, they may not get the whole, there are systems in place, but at least just within their level of comprehension, make sure you provide that reassurance. But definitely be mindful to your words, so that whatever it is that you're telling your child, they are seeing in your behavior, and that they are not hearing the opposite, that they are not getting a counter message when they hear you on the phone with your friend, when they hear you talking at the TV, just though, or talking to another adult. Make sure that your message to them is congruent to with whatever they're hearing you, or they may be hearing you say to other people. Because as much as you think that, hey, my baby's sleeping, no, your baby's not sleeping. Your baby's in the other room and can hear everything that you're saying. So pay attention and be mindful of your words. um Encourage self-expression. Children are hurting just as we as adults. I am totally wearing two different earrings. Okay, that's not relevant to this conversation, but I am. just as just like as adults, we have these experiences, we have these feelings, we have these things we need to let out. Children may also have things they need to let out. So encourage self-expression. If their form of self-expression is prayer, encourage them. They pray for themselves, and they can pray for the families of the children that were hurt. They can pray for whatever you got, whatever they and you want to pray for. If you're um, getting them to engage in other forms of self-expression, arts are always good. If your child is, if they're artsy, let them color, let them draw, because they will tell you a lot in their drawings about what they're thinking. If they have some type of physical activity that they do, maybe your child is into dance, let them use that as a form of self-expression. Children have kind, sweet, giving, loving hearts. And one of the things that your children may bring up is doing something for the families and the children who are hurting. If that is where they want to go there with them. Maybe they can send cards, maybe they can write letters, maybe they can do whatever that activity, whatever it is that they want to do, that they feel that, hey, I want to do this to help these families, I want to do this to help these other children. If they bring something like that up, encourage it. Help them put it together to, within your sphere of capability, within the resources that you have. Help them do something to make them feel like they're doing something. Because sometimes when these things happen, they feel so disempowering. It feels like you're sitting there, you're a sitting duck, there's nothing you can do. And sometimes it helps to engage in something that makes you feel like, hey, I am a part of the solution. Which is why a lot of times, I don't remember when I shared this, but I remember when I was in Parkland, people would just come all for I was there for, I think I was there for 2 days, and all day we had people coming in bringing water, bringing food, bringing this. Like there was so much food and water. There was and it wasn't that it was needed. It was definitely appreciated, but it was because the community felt the need to do something. And one of the things that I remember, I will always remember this little girl, I think she was about maybe 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. She made cards when her mom came, and I think her mom brought Panera or something like that. Her mom had 2 big bags of food that she brought, and then the little girl had 2 little cards. And I remember I took a picture, and I probably still have that picture on my phone, where I took her cards and I posted them, and she wanted, at 4 or 5 years old that she wanted to do something. So she made the cards, and the cards made such a difference when people would come in, and people were coming in and they were distraught, and they were in all sorts of shapes. And I remember one of the things did that I did when I was in Parkland was make sure that we had someone who was always kind of on the lookout for people outside who were struggling to make it in there. That sometimes that we'd even have a counselor who would walk out and greet a person that was coming in. So, but when people would come to the desk to sign in, they would see the card and they would smile. They would see the card, and for a quick moment, it was like, we are not in this awful place. We're remembering the good in the world. We're remembering the positivity. So even these little gestures, as your little 4, 5, 6 year old who says, I want to make cards for them, let them encourage them to send it, because though it helps them feel like they're doing something, because they actually are doing something, because the people who receive those cards really do get joy out of it. Because it's been let me see, it's been what, 4 years, and I still remember the little girl in her cute little dress when she came in. So those things go a long way. So if whatever way they choose to express themselves, make sure that you create the opportunity, you create the space for them to be able to do that. And if they need to grieve, provide space for that too. Don't tell children not to cry. I know it's the natural instinct of, hey, shush, you're a big boy, you're a big girl. No, we're hurting. We're hurting. We've been through trauma. It's okay to cry. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to process whatever they're processing. Create that space so that your child is able and has the room to do these types of things, because that's necessary. So if they church, if you go to church, go to church. If you go to temple, go to temple. If you don't do any of those things, however you connect with a higher power, encourage them to do that, because that can definitely help with the grieving process, with that reassurance. So make sure that you are, and if they want to do anything special to remember, to commemorate, whatever it is they want to do, give them an opportunity to create opportunities for them to do it. And definitely give them opportunities to be around other children, because being around other children can help bring back that normal. So if you play dates, if you can, if you don't have especially as school is getting out soon, so play dates are important, or would be nice if you can do them. If cousins are always nice. Maybe you watch a lot of schools letting out soon, so you watch all the kids one day, and one of your siblings can watch all the kids another day. So give them the opportunity to be around other children, because that is another time that gives them a chance to be children. The final thing is, as adults, We hear it, we feel it, we experience it. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. It's hard to be there and be reassuring and be all that, provide that feeling of security for your child when you don't feel it. So make sure that you're taking time, you're doing whatever it is that you need to do to so that you're good in order for you to be able to be good and be there for your children or whom or the children in your life. Yeah, let me see. Let's do a quick review of the stuff that I said. Let's see. First, making sure that don't delete anything, Judy. Making sure that you are providing reassurance, letting them know that even though this really bad thing happened, that they are safe. Um, Pay attention to behaviors. There will be things that may show up is a little bit of separation anxiety. Sometimes when they're not able to express that they are hurting, they may actually end up um, pain may be displayed as aggression. Pain may be displayed as defiance. Pain may be the fact that they're hurting may be displayed in ways that shows rebellion or something other than what is acceptable. Yes, we understand. Yet it's one thing to say, "Hey, yeah, this child is hurting. This child is sad," and we get that. But sometimes that sadness, that hurting, doesn't get expressed as "I'm hurting, I'm sad." It gets expressed as "I'm gonna be defiant because I am too scared to go to school, so I'm gonna throw a fit and tell you I'm not going to school, and then now you're gonna be mad." But instead of be patient with them, give them space, listen to them, let them speak, answer their question, pay also pay attention to behaviors because children don't always have the vocabulary to say what they're feeling, especially when you're looking at children of such a young age. So pay attention to their behaviors, notice little things, notice little changes in your child. And if you start seeing issues, definitely as soon as you see an issue, get help. There's most schools right now, I'm sure, are going to be providing or at least having access to resources for families and for the students. So reach out to the school, reach out to your child's doctor, reach out to your friend. Just make sure that if you see something, definitely get help right away because there's no need to leave that child suffering all this extra time when the help is there for them. Be patient with regression, meaning a child who's potty trained suddenly wanting to um not wanting to but having accidents, a child um used to sleeping through the night now waking up in the middle of the night because they're struggling. Nightmares are not uncommon because if especially if the child is not processing the fact that, hey, bad man goes to schools, and they may have a nightmare that a bad man comes to their school. Little things like just all sorts of things could play out. So just be patient with them and get normalcy back as much as possible. Making sure that you're doing the things that your family normally does, making sure that you're doing the things that whatever it is that is normal for your family, make sure that you're continuing to do those things because it's important that you are rebuilding normal. The circle has been broken, but your goal as a parent, your goal as the adult in any child's life is to help them rebuild the normal. So whatever you need to do to build normal, let's build normal. Um, encourage encourage expression, whatever it is that however they want to express themselves. If they feel like making cards for the kids that are in the hospitals, if they feel like making cards for the families, if they feel like doing whatever service activity to help them, to make them feel like they're doing something, help them, engage them, give them an opportunity to do that because not only does it help them, it sometimes helps the people involved. There's yeah, it helps the people involved. So um, yeah, this is longer than I anticipated, but hey, I got these I I had notes. Oh, and I forgot grief. They may be experiencing different signs of grief. They may be experiencing different levels of grief. So be prepared for that. Just allow them to have these moments, allow them to have these little tantrums where they can't tell you I'm hurting, so I'm gonna throw a fit. Yes, you will encourage them to use their words. Yes, you will encourage them to follow the rules. Yes, you will still do the parenting stuff, but it's also important that you remember that they are hurting, that they are grieving, and that they, along with the rest of our society, have just experienced another major traumatic event. Yeah, that's it. As always, if you or someone you know happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, please remember that there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing to help, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. But I don't know if they're providing remote services for children at the moment, but definitely there are professionals out there. So please take a moment and figure out who those people are in your community, so that if you need them, or especially right now, if your children need them, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.